My name is Joe and I'm a flight instructor. If this is your first time here, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. Today we're going to do a fun little video where we're talking about flight school CFIs versus independent CFIs. And we're going to see just who comes out on top based on the 5 different areas that I've selected that we can talk about. And well, you might be surprised by what happens in this video. So let's get into it. All right, so as I said, we are talking about flight schools, flight school instructors versus independent instructors. People out there that are unaffiliated with the school, they're just teaching through a rental fleet or they have their own airplane that they're teaching out of, stuff like that. So I have 5 different criteria we're going to talk about, and we're going to see where they come out and who wins in this. So criteria number 1 is going to be the flight instructors themselves. So is it better to go with the independent or is it better to go with the flight school? For this one, I'm going to give both a point each. The reason is because it's going to highly depend on what you, the student, the paying customer, want in a flight instructor. Do you want someone that is going to be career oriented as far as being a career CFI? Or do you want someone that's just chasing hours? Both offer their different unique perspectives and things like that. So if generally the independent instructors you're going to find are more kind of career CFI style instructors. You will find time builders there. But if you go to a flight school, it's going to be a majority of time builders with maybe, if you're lucky, 1 or 2 career CFIs there. So for me, if I want to learn, I want a career CFI. So for me, that's where the point comes in on the independent CFI. Where it comes in, the point comes in for the flight school CFIs is the flexibility. If you and that CFI aren't working well together and you're with an independent CFI, now if you decide you want to move on from that person, you have to start your search all over again to go and find another CFI. Whereas if you're at a flight school and you and that CFI aren't working together, they have other CFIs right there. You can transition most likely today. You're not missing any flights. You're not missing any training, anything like that. Whereas you would with a independent flight instructor, because again, now you're looking for a new school or you're looking for another independent flight instructor. So you have to go through that search again. So that's why I give both a point for this one. So we'll call this one a tie, but it's mostly based on what you're looking for and your needs. Criteria number 2 is going to be airplane availability. Now, this is going to be different just about everywhere because no 2 places are ever the same. So I have to go based off of what I'm seeing in my market here in Orlando, Florida. So airplane availability. The point for this one goes to flight schools. Most flight schools have a fleet, whether it's a small fleet or a large fleet. So you're going to have plenty of opportunity to get in and out of airplanes and get the schedule that you want to fly when you want in the airplane you want most likely. The only thing I would watch out for with this is a flight school that has a bunch of airplanes and they all have different avionics inside of them. If they have all different avionics, it's not a uniform fleet, you're going to spend a lot of time and money learning those different avionic systems, because each time you fly a different plane, it's going to have a different avionic system, so things are going to work a little bit differently. They're definitely going to look different. So you're going to spend some time and you're going to spend some money on that one. The independent side is, unless the independent instructor owns their own airplane to teach out of, they're working off of a rental fleet. And within that rental fleet, there could be 10 people using those airplanes. There could be 1,000 people using those airplanes. And if it's a decent sized rental fleet, but it's one of the only in the area, like I deal with here in Orlando, then there's a lot of people on that rental roll list, whatever you want to call it, that are using that plane. So it makes it super difficult to find availability within there to make things work that you want to make work within your schedule. So again, airplane availability, that for this one, the point, it goes to the flight schools. Criteria number 3 is going to be the syllabus and the structure. And again, just like everything else, is going to be independent on you, the student, and what you're looking for. If you want structure, you want a syllabus, you want a Part 141 flight school. They're going to be hard and fast with that structure. There's not going to be any flexibility there. Part 1 or Part 61 schools, most are going to have a syllabus. Obviously, they can move things around, but it's going to be a syllabus there with some structure. If you go to the independent flight instructor, syllabus structure, from what I've found, is next to non-existent. I use Gold Seal. So with what I'm teaching as an independent instructor, I use the Gold Seal syllabus. And I maintain that structure within my course because I want to maintain kind of an ability to make sure we're not missing anything as we go through. But most independent flight instructors I know are just kind of winging it. Like, today we're going to work on this, tomorrow we're going to work on that. And there's not really any rhyme or reason for the order that they do things. But again, that's not everyone. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. You need to look into that. But again, if you're looking for a more structured environment to make sure you're not missing things, unfortunately, as an independent flight instructor, I have to give the point to this one to the flight schools. All right, criteria number 4 is going to be maintenance on the airplanes. This is an easy one. The point goes to the flight schools. Why? Most flight schools, at least in this area, have their own in-house maintenance. So they're taking care of that. Independent instructors, again, we're reliant on rental fleets, and some of them are lucky and they have their own in-house maintenance. They operate almost like a school, so things are taken care of pretty promptly. But there's a lot of ones out there too where you're not, where the airplane goes down and now they got to find a mechanic that'll be willing to kind of take them, whether that mechanic is mobile and they come in, or we're going to have to take that airplane to a different airport to go and see a mechanic, and then we're at the mercy of their schedule. So they might not get you in for 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas if you have a flight school with in-house maintenance, guess what? They're only working on your planes, so that airplane's going to get in, it's going to get fixed, it's going to get back to the flight line much quicker than it would for the rental fleet that the independent CFIs are using. So again, point for this one goes to the flight school. And finally, our last criteria is going to be cost. This one is fairly easy. The point goes to the independent CFI. The reason behind that being is the pay structure for CFIs within flight schools and independents, and it's also going to be airplane rental rates. So let's tackle first airplane rental rates. Here in the Orlando area, they're all pretty much the same. You're looking between like $170 to $225 an hour for just the airplane. So with that one there, we can't really say there's any definitive answer because you're going to get what you get no matter where you go as far as the airplane. Obviously, there's some more expensive, nicer airplanes, and there's some cheaper, older airplanes. So there's not really a big discrepancy there. Where you're going to see the big discrepancy and why this point goes to the independent CFIs is because of your cost for the flight instructor. So here's how it works with the pay for the flight instructors and charging you, the student, for flight instructors. If you go to school A, B, whatever, over here, they're going to charge you for the flight instructor to teach you anywhere. I've seen, on average, it's between like $75 to $100 an hour. I know someone that charges $150 an hour. So there's that. But those flight instructors that you're being charged $75 to $100 an hour for are only being paid $25 to $30 an hour. So that's pure profit for the flight school because that's where they're actually making their money. They're not making a ton of money on the rentals of their airplanes. They're making their money on the labor. That's fine. That's your business model. That's how it works. That's how you want to do things. That's cool. That's your business. But that's where it is you're going to pay $75 to $100 an hour for that instructor to teach you and make $25 to $30 an hour. On the independent side, you're going to find anywhere from $40 an hour to $85 an hour. The difference is the independent CFI is keeping all of that money. They're not paying a school or they're not doing anything like that. But we are running our own businesses. So we have our business expense. So yes, while we keep all of that, we still have to pay out a lot of it too. Taxes and everything else like that. Our business expenses, marketing to market ourselves to get more students and stuff like that. But there's a lot more flexibility in there. And the reason I say that the independent CFI is going to be better for you and they're going to get the point on this one as far as cost is because on average, they are significantly cheaper. Myself, I charge $50 an hour. That's a win-win for both me and my student because if I'm charging $50 an hour, that means you, the student, you're not paying $75 to $100 an hour. You're saving money. You're paying $50 an hour. I'm independent. I'm not at a flight school. So if I'm charging $50 an hour, I'm making $50 an hour. I'm not at a flight school making $25 to $30 an hour. So I'm making more money. So it's a win for me too. So it's a win-win situation when you hire me to be your flight instructor. But again, there's still expenses and everything that go on the backside of all that. But this is for a student that's trying to pick what route they want to go, whether it's a flight school or an independent CFI. So if you're looking pure cost, 99 out of 100 times, the independent CFI is going to be your cheaper route. So the summary of this video is the flight school won on my 5 criteria. They won 3 categories. Independent flight instructor won 1, and then they both tied on a category. So I hope this kind of helps you figure out and make decisions on where you want to go and train and what type of instructor that you're looking for. And again, it pains me, but apparently I've been told I'm known as the honest flight instructor that's going to give it to you straight. And well, here I am as an independent CFI telling you that based on these 5 criteria, the flight school is the better choice. But again, it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. So make sure you drop a comment in the box below. Let me know what your thoughts are kind of on these criteria, kind of where you fall and what you feel should have won, or if this video and my criteria and the way I rated it was correct or not based on your personal experience. So if you enjoyed this video, check out this one on the screen, and I'll see you next time.